Story 1. Empty everything from my bag? You got it. Standard disclaimer. On mobile, so pardon any typos. Last time I checked, English was my first language. I work in a transportation facility which requires me to go through a security checkpoint that inspects bags and such, and you have to go through a metal detector. They require us to remove any electronics or wires from our bags. Since I'm a technician, I carry a laptop and network cables in my bag plus some small hand tools. I was told I can leave the hand tools in the bag, but the wires and electronic have to be taken out. Fine. So I've been doing this for months, until yesterday. I go through as usual, unpacking my bag of the required items and putting them in the bin and send it through. I send my bag afterwards. X-Ray says nothing, so I start reloading my bag. This is when X-Ray stops talking to her coworker friends and realizes she has to work. They start going through my bag, pulling out everything I just put back in, telling me, "This is supposed to come out and go in a bin." I did. You weren't paying attention. X-Ray then proceeds to tell me, anything metal has to come out. Everything has to come out. Fine. Today rolls around and the same person is running X-Ray. So I take all of my usual stuff out of my bag and put it in a bin. Then I start removing everything from my bag. Tissue pack? Check. Quick wipes? Check. Pens? Check. Candy wrapper from 3 days ago? Check. You get the point. Every single item I pulled from my bag. Meanwhile, X-Ray is getting testy and a line is forming behind me. X-Ray tells me I'm holding up the line. Sorry, you said everything. After my bins and empty bag go through the X-Ray and come out, I begin to repack everything while watching the line behind me. A guy is now doing the same thing I just did, pulling everything from his bag. You did tell that guy everything. I don't want to get in trouble. The next guy behind him started doing it as well. As I set my bag on the floor and began to walk away, I turned to X-Ray and said, "You did say everything. Have a nice day," and left. I think I might go back through after lunch. Clarification. This is a security checkpoint for employees of this transportation facility. It's a private security company and not any government transportation security, though most of them act like they work for the government. Comments. I would dump a large box of paper clips in the bottom of the bag before you head inside. Carelessly remove most of them, ask to see the screen while it's run through the machine, knowing that there are some still floating around in the bag, and then upon seeing them on the screen, take the bag back, remove the rest, and run it back through. Now you get to stand there and dump all the loose paper clips back into your bag while they watch and realize that this will happen over and over again until they stop acting like they work at Area 51. Had overzealous security checkpoints like this at a big-name computer manufacturer. They were paranoid about people trying to steal computers and parts. We were required to empty everything out of our bags, and pockets too. They would confiscate anything, even stuff obviously marked with a different vendor's name. They would take and scan all CDs and DVDs to make sure they didn't contain copies of proprietary software. My group received and tested a lot of CD and DVD drives. Some of them came with clear plastic discs inside, shaped like a CD or DVD, as packaging to protect moving parts during shipment. We removed and discarded them before testing. One of my coworkers was responsible for setting up LAN profiles on equipment, and had a couple CDs clearly marked from a well-known LAN equipment manufacturer, not the computer manufacturer, that he used to do his job. Despite allowing those to go through several times, one day security decided to confiscate them to scan them. They could not do this quickly, they didn't know what they were doing, so they made him leave the discs, told him he could pick them up the next day. But since they were incompetent, they ended up keeping his discs for several days, preventing him from doing his job, until finally they got a competent tech to verify that there was no company proprietary software on them. My coworker decided to repay their favor. He stuck several of those clear plastic discs in his bag, and yep, security thought they were CDs and confiscated them. Of course, they couldn't read anything on those discs, so they told him to leave them, pick them up tomorrow. They struggled with those discs for several days before finally getting that competent tech to come and verify that there was no data on them. My coworker declined to take the discs back when security finally offered them. Asked them if they were truly sure there wasn't company data? Because maybe it is well hidden? They decided to try to scan them again, for several days. I'm a scuba diver and I carry my regulators in a carry-on. I go through TSA in West Virginia, hundreds of miles from the nearest ocean. The agent sees it on X-ray, looks at me and asks, "Scuba regulators?" And that was it. Very same trip. Go through security in Miami, hundreds of yards from the ocean, and they make me unload everything just to train a new security guard. Story 2. Refuse to help? Let's play a little game. Back around 1987, I was a courier on the afternoon shift 11:30 a.m. to 8:30 am. Dispatch cut off the calls at 6 p.m. and after a 5-minute grace period you could clear and go home at 6:05 p.m. and get paid to 8:30 p.m. My route had a highway down the middle and the roads I covered on both sides had a lot of businesses. Those roads were busy with a 40 kilometers per hour, 25 miles per hour, speed limit and lots of lights. My route get very busy and I would often be at one end of the area and get calls at the last minute for the opposite end. The only way to make it work was to use the highway often and speed. Next to my area was another courier we will call Richard, Dick for short. Dick would finish early and wait on the on-ramp of the highway at 5:50 p.m. daily, waiting to clear and go home early. As I got too busy, I got in the radio and asked Dick to help with 2 to 4 calls, and guess what? He refused. I went to my manager requesting they help with my workload. Management informed me that there was no one that could help and I had to suck it up. When I informed him that Dick was right there and had quite a bit of free time, he still said it was my route and my problem. I am pissed at this point and figure screw it, I will definitely figure it out. One of the key items at work was that the nightly line haul truck must leave on time at 8:30 p.m. sharp or management hears from head office. The very next day I start my route and I do not use the highway and stick to the speed limit religiously. I roll in the first day at 9 p.m. on overtime with the managers calling me every 5 minutes for an ETA. I have 3 managers waiting for me to explain and simply told them it was busy and went home. Next day, same results, so I keep this up for a week. After a full week of my tardiness, management is under pressure and they come to me to do better. I point out that there is a speed limit and maybe Dick could help. They tell me I should pick up the pace, speed, and at that point I said, "No problem, put that in writing." They walked away deflated, hoping I would be back earlier. Nope. I did this another week, much to the utter dismay of the managers. At the end of the second week, the managers meet me again at the dock with a noticeable smugness about them. They then informed me that as a group they have come up with a solution. I listened as they explained how they did a route analysis and have determined that Dick should get about 25% of my area to help out. The beauty was that I retained the best area and Dick got all the crappy calls. Monday rolls around and they informed Dick of his new route and he is pissed and vocal about it. The line haul truck on time the rest of the week and Dick worked to 8:30 nightly. The new route was great and enjoyed to reduced stress. Dick lasted about another 2 months then quit. Lesson is don't be a dick. Comments. Speeding should never be an option. Except for emergency service vehicles responding to an emergencies, of course. Edit. Also, why would someone and/or a company be willing to risk hundreds in fines and loss of license to then not be able to work? I'm glad you didn't maliciously comply to their order of speeding by getting yourself in an accident or losing your license. That would have showed though. It shouldn't have come to that in order for them to tell Dick to do his job. It took management getting chewed out about the line haul being late. They were only saving their own butts. Anyway, I'm glad it worked. Dick was an dick and quit.